Well, it's finally happened at long last. I was just about to get into the studio here, aka my room in my trailer, to record the podcast, and it's actually on Thursday. Normally I record on Wednesday, upload on Thursday, but this week has been I've been traveling fucking everywhere, but I was, down in Estevan, Calgary. I've been everywhere, man. Across the river. I don't know the rest of that song, but yeah, I've been traveling like a mofo. So, but about an hour ago, just before I got home, got into the hot seat here, I learned that the Queen has died. So, that's interesting, but unfortunately, it totally throws out all of my theories about the royal family all being vampires and all that shit. But rest in peace, um, Queen Elizabeth II. You had a long run there, 96 years. So you know, long live the Queen. Welcome everybody back to Not Rich Just Bored, episode number 40. Wow, that's a milestone and a half. I hope you guys all liked last week's episode with Sass Kyle, another one of my buddies, but technically the first official guest we've had. So that's kind of cool. Because Ryan is like a co-host, and Justin has been on the podcast a few times, but he was originally like a co-host. I thought it was going to be like a 3-man show or something, but he was too busy and stuff. So, and then fucking Ryan's too busy most of the time, so he's only on half the episodes. At the end of the day, just set the record straight. It's a 1-man show. This is the Code Man show, and he's slinging it every goddamn week, no matter what. Even if I have a shit ton of things to talk about, or if I have nothing to talk about, you know. I don't really set like a time limit on this thing. I we usually like to go for about an hour. An hour is kind of a good number, but if it's a little less, a little more, whatever. And if we're having a good conversation, like me and Kyle had one of the longest episodes yet. It was an hour and 41. Like if we're having a good conversation and we got lots to talk about, I mean, obviously, I don't give a shit about the cap. I mean, if I have to, I know Anchor has like an upload limit of 500 megabytes, I think it is, for audio. I hope they change that because that's not very big. But I remember we did one of the first podcasts. Yeah, it was with Sword, like with Justin. It was 2 hours and 40 minutes, and that one was like that was just under the cutoff for um for um for Anchor to get it to Spotify and all that. So if it's like a 2.5 hour episode, if they still have that limit on there, I think they do. I could just upload in a two-parter. I really don't care. I just enjoy talking to people. It's just really fun. So I'm hoping to get more guests, more people on in the future. It's just contacting them, and let's be honest. I mean, this podcast is not big at all. I average like 5 to 10 views, like not much at all. So it's we're growing, we're getting our shit, we're just dipping our toes in the water, and you know what? The thing is, I'm gonna keep doing it because I really don't care. I don't care if 5 people listen or 500 people listen. I'm just kind of doing my own thing here, and I think it's fun, and I think it's a good reflection. I've mentioned this before, how I like to use this as like almost a personal diary in a sense, especially the episodes where I'm alone, because it's when you're going back and forth with a guest or with Ryan, like a co-host, it's easy, right? Because you're kind of playing off of each other, and he says something, I say something, you kind of respond to each other, and it's a lot easier. Doing a 1-man show like this, like doing it all alone, talking to yourself essentially, it's quite a bit more difficult, especially for me, because I find it's just a comedian in me. I like an audience reaction. I like that instant feedback. I almost need to have like, I mean, who knows what's gonna happen in the future? Maybe I'll get huge, but like, maybe I almost need like a producer or something, or just a guy to sit in and just laugh at my jokes and kind of play off of them a little bit. There's a one guy, I can't remember who the hell it is. I think it's Tim Dillon. I think because he does a podcast, and he does it's a one man podcast, but he has his producer in there. And his producer's always just like laughing at his rants, and it kind of gives him that positive feedback loop. So it's kind of funny. Whereas, like these one man shows, there's only really one guy that I know that does a one man show that I watch regularly. Well, actually, that's not true. But I guess the one man show I was thinking of was Bill Burr. Like Bill Burr does a solo podcast, and it's actually really funny. Like, but Bill Burr's so good at ranting that it's like it's no problem at all for him to do that. Um, the other guy I was thinking of, but he has the producer in there is Joey Diaz. Like, but again it's still at the end of the day, Tim Dillon, Joey, they're still one man shows. It's still them just talking, and the producer might laugh and cackle a little bit and stuff, but at the end of the day, they're not doing the content. It's the personality themselves. So what makes Joey killer is that he's so fucking funny, and he's got really great storytelling. So it's a muscle I'm trying to work on more. One of the biggest problems for me too, personally, that I've found is that I just need to be more awake for the podcast too. It's sometimes my sleep schedule is a little fucked. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's worse. I, if I'm overtired, I find I stutter a lot and I kind of lose my words. Same with if I'm hungry. I'm pretty fucking hungry today, I'll be honest. But I've been kind of fasting all day, so I don't really want to ruin it. So I'm waiting for supper time. But I feel pretty good today. But it's those days where you kind of feel down in the dumps. And oh, thank you, train horn. I hope you guys can hear that. You're gonna hear me rolling my chair to shut the door, though. But first, I'm grabbing my water because I actually need some water. Oh man, I thought about implementing the camera this week, but unfortunately, I didn't get around to doing it. So I have my Canon DSLR that I wanna hook up for the podcast, but I just don't. It's just with my current setup, it's too bulky. It just wouldn't work very well. So I think I'm gonna just use the webcam for video, um, for the time being, and then I'll probably get a better webcam later. The problem with my current webcam is that it's not very good. I literally bought it from like a garage sale for like $20. I mean, that shows how cheap I am. Just gonna have some water here. I got this obnoxiously large water bottle from Canadian Tire. It was I've been eyeing it up for a while. It's like it's made by Mana. I say Mana because Mana sounds fucking pretentious. But yeah, it's made by Mana. They're supposed to be like some sort of a rival to Yeti. Like they have that same kind of technology in them where they can keep water cold for 7 fortnights, and and they can um yeah, keep things hot too. But I don't. It's so big. It's a gallon. So like this thing's a fucking monster. But the reason I'm doing it is because I've been kind of going on this kind of personal journey. If you guys follow us on Instagram, you probably saw my video of me talking about setting goals and, getting that positive mental attitude and getting into that right mind space of getting healthier. It's, it's just, you know, you, you gotta just do it for yourself. If you're doing it for somebody else, ultimately you're just gonna fail, or you're gonna slide at some point. You might do it for years even, but you'll slide eventually. But for me, it's like I'm doing it for myself. I just want to get healthier. So I've been walking around more. I've been like working out more at home because I don't want to go to gym. I yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll go to gym, but I can't stand gym culture. I've told you guys before. I just fucking drives me nuts. But one of the things I want to do though, and I'm already seeing positive results from it already, is I want to drink more water because I feel like that's something that almost everybody fails at in life is that they don't drink enough water. So this mana bottle that I got, it's obnoxiously big. It's $100 at Canadian Tire. I've been eyeing it up for a while, but I got it on a deal, so it's 50% off. So I got it for $50, which is, for how much I've been using it and how much I'm gonna use it, that seems like a pretty sweet deal. But the reason I got it is because it's exactly a gallon. Exactly. It's fucking crazy heavy when it's full, and it's a little excessive, but 1 gallon is what an adult male, that's a recommended intake daily of water. So I got one of those water jugs, the purified water that you fill up at your local, I don't know what the Americans have, but up here in Canada it's like Culligan and Water World and stuff like that. So I just got one of those jugs that I refill. It's $3. $3 for, I think it's a 5 gallon. Yeah, it's 5 gallons. Look at me using Imperial stuff. I'm not even saying liters. But it's yeah, it's a 5 gallon. It's $3 for 5 gallons of water. It's the cheapest shit you're gonna drink ever. And it's purified, it's good, there's no bullshit in it. And yeah, I just fill this thing up daily with that thing. I have one of those bottles and I just put a pump on it. I just pump it into this, screw it on, and away you go. I'm one of those guys that I don't like cold water that much. If it's a hot day and I'm sweating my sack off, yeah, sure, I'll go for a cold glass of water. Absolutely. It's good. But for just average, ordinary, everyday consumption, I can't. It's too hard to drink cold water fast. So I just put my water out. It's out of the pump, so it's room temperature, and it's pumped into this thing, this mana, termana. It's pumped into this mana bottle, and it's lukewarm, and I could just chug it like a motherfucker. And it's kind of been like an ongoing gag with me and my friends where I'll just be sitting there chugging my chugging my water as I stare at them menacingly, because I'll sit there for like probably a minute straight and I'm just chugging, and it's like I've just chugged, I don't know, a few liters of water anyway. Well, not a few liters, that's excessive, but I could probably chug at least a liter at a time. But I don't know, I've noticed it sounds weird, and I was telling some of my friends too and coworkers that it sounds weird, but my skin feels, since I've been drinking this much water on a regular basis, it's been about probably 3 weeks since I've been doing that. My skin feels more elastic. It feels more like, it's hard to explain. My skin feels softer, which would make sense in a way. If I'm retaining more water, my skin would, I feel like if you're dehydrated, your skin dries out, your lips dry out, right? All that stuff of dehydration. People that dry out in the desert, their skin's fucking burnt and cracked. So it only makes sense that if you're fully hydrated, then you would be, your skin would be softer. But I've noticed it in that. I notice I feel better too. I feel off. If I don't drink enough water in a day, I feel off. And it's just, yeah, it's helped. Like a lot of my like headaches have gone away. Sometimes I used to get like midday headaches, and it's all headaches. The number one cause, and I tell everybody this, the number one cause of headaches, once you understand your body, the number one cause is fucking dehydration, and number two is hunger. If you're really hungry, sometimes you get headaches. But the number one killer for headaches, it's dehydration. Always. Why? When you're hungover from drinking too much, why is your head pounding? Because you're dehydrated. Severely dehydrated. That's why it hurts so much. So, and this is, kind of a good segue into my kind of topic I want to talk about was that I went to my friend Matt, his wedding. Um, him and Natasha got married last weekend, and it was really fun, really awesome. It was a really great party, and I think that me drinking this whole me drinking this whole gallon of water because I drank it that day, and then I filled it up for the next day as well. So, and I think that's what saved me. I was still hungover in the morning. I got beyond wasted. They had a tuning bar. I got fucking obliterated. I had something like 40 drink tickets, and I did not have any left over. So, you know, I drank something like, I think I drank something like 15 doubles. And, there was a couple singles. I think I gave away one ticket, but I didn't give away a lot. I mean, I bought other people drinks, but I didn't I had my little stash because I was like, I have my 40 tickets for drinks here. That's it. If I go over, because that's 40 ounces technically. I'm like, if I use over that, I'm a dead man for sure. But yeah, I was still pretty hungover in the morning, but uh, not. I think if I didn't drink all that water, I would have been fucking destroyed. I would have been like me and Justin still went for like a round of 18 holes for disc golf that next day. So I'd say we did pretty damn good, all things considered. Because yeah, I really wasn't that hungover the next day, but I truly believe that's just the water. That's why people. I think there's an old story about Andre the Giant even, where he would go out drinking and he would drink like a barrel of beer, right? But he would always drink water with it too, and it was just to keep himself hydrated. So random tangent here, it made me think of UFC fighters when they cut weight before a weigh-in. Fuck. Makes me wonder how big of a fucking headache they have. They must be like just Advilled up because I'll bet you because they dehydrate the shit out of themselves to cut weight to make the weight at the weigh-in. It's actually pretty dangerous to be honest, but I'll bet you they just feel like shit. But that's another sport that I will never be in because that's you know to be the best of the best of the best, you need to cut that weight. So you gotta risk killing yourself not only in the ring but killing yourself from dehydration. But anyways, um, yeah, back to the wedding. The wedding was at my hometown, and it was so nice. Um, just honestly, just to be able to see everybody. It was so nice just to. I was a little nervous at first, and this is just the truth. You guys know me. I'm the truth monster. I like to be truthful. I'm like Jordan Peterson here. You gotta tell the truth. It's necessary. Yeah, my Jordan Peterson needs some work, but but um yeah, it was just I was a little nervous at first because I wasn't sure. It was my hometown, but it's been a while, so I wasn't sure if anybody would recognize me. 1 second, I'm gonna take a sip of water. Wet my whistle. Um, but yeah, I was nervous. I was worried that nobody would know me or recognize me or know who I am. It's again, there's obviously the friends that I hang out with on a, you know, often, right? Like Matt knows me. It's his fucking wedding. And Justin was there, so obviously he's a good buddy of mine. He knows me, and his sister and stuff. But I didn't think that a lot of the other people would remember me. To be honest, maybe that's just how I think of myself. Sometimes maybe I think I'm less memorable than I am. Maybe I'm super memorable, but I just don't think I am. But I was kind of worried about that. But his dad came outside straight out of the gate, and he was like, "Cody, you made it." I'm like, "Yes, I did." How's it going, Doug? And he was like, it was like it had been, 12 years since I've seen him probably, but it felt like yesterday. And that was with almost everybody there. Obviously there's a few people that have changed that were a little bit younger than me, and I don't quite remember them, or they don't quite remember me, because we weren't really in the same grade or anything, so we didn't really technically have any interactions. But still, once it's like, hello, hello, yeah, I'm Cody, oh, this guy, yeah, 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 yeah. It's like, it kind of comes full circle. So it's it was really it was really good to see everybody. And I made kind of a sappy Facebook post about it because I'm an emotional person sometimes. But I just said, like, I've spent so much time in the city, because I've been away from my hometown for, 13, 14 years almost now. So, and I've visited from time to time, and I've been back for other things, disc golf, and visiting my buddies. But I never really hung out with the people there, as a community, which um, a wedding, that's the type of thing that brings a community together. And it was just like, it's like 13 years and the next day. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was home. It felt like I was just one of the herd, Everybody's so friendly, and like in my post there, I was saying, like, I've spent so much time in the city that I forgot what hometown, small town hospitality is like, you know? And for the most part, when you live in a small town, everybody's got each other's back. It's all about, there's obviously going to be the shit disturbers. That's everywhere. You're never going to escape that. There's going to be shit disturbers absolutely everywhere. But for the most part, it's just good, honest people that want the best for each other. And you feel like a community because, you kind of are. You know, it just goes back to the whole theory of, whether humans should be living in cities or not. Because, you know, when you see a bunch of people in a city, they become a burden and you're kind of fucking annoyed by them. When you see other people on the street, you're like, like 14 people passing on the street and you're like, oh, fuck off, fuck off. But then, you see like one person in a small town driving down Main Street, you're like, it's like, hello, Mrs. Potts, you know, whatever, Mr. Rob, hello, how are you? It's a different vibe for sure. And it was, yeah, it was just really good to see a bunch of old faces. And of course, again, I told you I got messed up. I got destroyed drunk. And when I'm drunk, the thing about me, I'm never like, when I'm drunk, I'm never mean. I don't think I've ever been like a mean drunk. Sometimes I joke around about being mean. And well, sometimes maybe I'll say a hurtful joke, but if somebody's offended by it, then I quickly apologize. But for the most part, I, I am the goofiest drunk. I like to have fun. I like to just chill, and mostly just like this show, I like to talk to people. And if I get that was a weird. I just like popped my cheek there and made like a duck sound. I wonder if the audio caught that. That was fucking hilarious. Um, but I like chatting with people and just. The thing is though, if I get too drunk, sometimes, almost all the time, if I get really drunk, I get like a little emotional. I get I get sappy almost, but it's just like, but it's not even like, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like my grandma died, it's more like, I love you guys. I love you guys so much. You guys know that I love you, right? Like, I'm such a hugger. As soon as you get a little alcohol on me, I'm just like, I'm giving those bear hugs away for free. Everybody's getting one. And if you don't want one, close your eyes because you're getting one. And so I just, you know, like, I remember at the one point, like, hugging Justin, like, I was like, you know, you're a good guy, right? You know, I love you. I'm like, come on, bring it in, big guy. Come on, I want a hug. And it's just, yeah, it's so funny to think about that. And it was so, like I said, it just goes with the vibe. I was so at peace with everybody there, and I was having such a good time that, you know, I felt open to do that. Whereas, you know, if I'm at a bar in the city, you know, you can't really get a sloppy drunk because you don't really trust the people around you. Like I literally had I had my DSLR at the wedding. Just I didn't want to be like, you know, I wasn't trying to be the wedding photographer or anything like that. I just figured I haven't used it much, and since I got it this year, and I'm like, this will be a good, you know, good chance to get some photos. And I'm like, I don't know if Matt and Natasha have a photographer. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. It's just a dance, right? So maybe they probably don't. But I'm like, this will be a fun experiment to, you know, test out the camera and, you know, capture the night. I think that's I personally, you know, if I ever get my loser ass married, I think I would want to do that. I would want, you know, just some candid pictures of the night. It'd be kind of fun to remember it by. So I brought my DSLR, and you know, I was just taking some pictures and some couples. I got some really cute photos of the bride and groom, like Matt and Tasha. They looked really great. And I remember it was so stupid. I was taking the pictures, and like I was like, I looked at the picture of them because I wanted to make sure they had a good photo of themselves for their wedding. And I remember I actually like teared up a little bit when I looked at it. I'm like, fuck, I'm like, they're so beautiful because they're, if anybody knows them that's listening to this, they're a super cute couple. But it's like, you know, I just, you know, I was already getting emotional. I wasn't even that drunk yet. But yeah, I took some pictures at the beginning, and it was about probably 30 or 40. I started to get too drunk. And again, I just like, it's the small town thing, right? So I wanted to keep the pictures going, but I would never hand my camera to a stranger ever. It's $1,000 camera almost. So I would never just hand it to a stranger, but like I just, you know, I know the people there and they're good people, so I just trusted. I ended up passing the camera to Justin's sister, and I'm just like, I'm too drunk to take photos anymore. I feel like I'm gonna stumble. I'm like, this is yours now. I'm like, I'm leaving this in your hands. Uh, get some good photos. I'll hang up the case and the lens cap behind Dougie Boy at the bar in the back room there. And I'm like, you just go crazy. Get some sweet pictures. And, you know, when you're done taking pictures or you don't want to take pictures anymore, I'm like, either give it to somebody else or you could just go put it back in the storeroom. And, you know, that's fine. And in the morning, we took a look, and like she got some good photos. Some of them were a little bit ricey, but, you know, so did I say ricey? Dicey. Wow. So yeah, some of them were a little dicey, but it was no, I think it really captured the night, and it was a fun test of that camera, and it didn't even get broken or anything. Um, there's a few fingerprints on the lens, but which you're not supposed to touch the lens, but for a bunch of drunks, I mean, I'll take some fingerprints. That's fine. That's the whole reason I bought a lens cleaning kit. That's the whole reason I bought it, was so that if anything happens to leads, I'll have shit to clean it. Plus, I got that sweet Best Buy warranty, um, where I got everything. Like I got the accidental damage thing, and like for like physical damage and everything, water damage, everything. I'm protected against everything. It was an expensive warranty, but I was like, well, it's an expensive camera, and I'm gonna probably be taking it into some dicey situations. So yeah, it's worth the money. I feel like Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod here. Instead of body break, though, it's water break. I'm just like, it was a long drive today back home, so I'm a little dehydrated. Oh, but yeah, it was a like I said though, it was a great wedding. We had a great time. We captured the night. Um, and yeah, like I had a little bit of a heart to heart with her sister, like the bride's sister, and it's that's kind of a rough situation she's going through. I haven't seen her since high school either. It's it's been a very long time. So since I've seen anybody there, besides the regular crew, but she's going through a rough patch in her life right now, and we kind of had like a heart to heart. We were both pretty fucking drunk, so but I'm like when people get emotional, that's like I said, if I'm drunk and somebody else is getting emotional, I'm gonna get emotional, so it's just like, you know, it's hard to go through uh breakups, let alone, divorce, separation. I don't fully know because I haven't been in town, but I think they're married. I I again I don't fully know. I just don't. But I think that they were married and they recently separated. But I just said like you know and you know I'm getting emotional. I'm sloppy drunk, but still coherent. I don't think I've ever been so drunk that I don't know what I'm talking about. Just I'm not as good at talking, but I just I said like don't worry, like things will get better. You're very young. She's still in her 20s. Like she's very young. I said you're young, you're beautiful, you got time. Everything's gonna pass. She's got a beautiful baby boy with him. I got to meet him. Uh he's really cute. He reminds me of my son Roman actually. But I just I I just told her that like when it comes to the people in life, I go with the What About Bob is an old Bill Murray movie, but he had an analogy that I like to use in there, and he treats people like telephones, and if you don't, and it's kind of how I've lived my life, to be honest, from a comedy movie. I've treated people like telephones. It's an old analogy because people don't use telephones like this anymore. But whatever, I'm gonna say it anyway. But I said like sometimes you know you try to phone that person. Sometimes the line's busy. Sometimes you don't make a connection right away. But sometimes you gotta hang up and try again. You know. But don't don't wait on hold forever. If that line is gonna be busy forever, you can't wait forever. And the truth is, like, I try to see the good. That's that's how I would always treat people anyway. I would, if I don't establish a connection right away, or if I feel like something's wrong, then hang up and try again later. And but to further that analogy, I don't. You can't waste your life on hold. You can't. And if somebody's willing to change for you and they're willing to get their life together, then that's good. And some people will, if that person's special enough for them. But, for some people they can't change. And I used to think that nobody could change. I used to think that once a scumbag, always a scumbag, you know, all that kind of shit. But it's actually not true. And that's why I let people know, you know. You could do the greasy guy thing where, guys are gross, right? Guys are like, they'll be like, yeah, he was an asshole, just come with me. Fuck him. But that's, that's not always true. Sometimes got people are assholes at the time. Sometimes they get better. Sometimes they change. Sometimes they do get better. But then sometimes they don't. And in her case, it might have been just the right person at the wrong time. There's also a possibility that's the wrong person, period. But, I don't know. I don't know this person. So I can't be the judge of that. Only you can be the judge of who you're with. And if you don't think it's worth it to salvage it, then move on. But like I told her, and I'll tell everybody else, especially if you're in your 20s, you got time. You don't need to worry. You don't need to worry about time. There's going to be somebody out there for you. There's going to be somebody out there, and they'll respect you, and you'll be happy. You know what? There's always going to be bumps in the road, and there's always going to be just I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point, I think, but my point is it's rough to see stuff, it's rough to see people that are suffering, but it's if they were listening right now, I would just say, you know what? It's going to get better. You'll find somebody who loves you, you'll find somebody who respects you, and you'll get out of that grief, And I'm in a similar boat, you could say, because I'm dealing with a more recent breakup, and I thought it was gonna be, well, look, I'm getting emotional already, but I thought it was gonna be forever too. But it's not. And that's okay. There'll be there'll be somebody out there for me. There'll be somebody out there for everybody. You know? But the one thing I gotta tell guys, if you're in a situation like me and things don't work out, if you have kids with that person, don't badmouth don't you badmouth their mother in front of them. And I will say that to my grave. I say that to everybody. Same with girls. Don't badmouth your baby daddy. Don't badmouth them in front of kids. It goes both ways. Because you know what? Maybe we're not together. Things didn't work out. That's fine. We're in an imperfect world. People make mistakes. Things don't always work out the way we want them to. That's just the truth. But when I see people that go through that and they're just, calling down somebody that they loved at one point, and you're calling them down in front of their kids, which are your kids too. It's not good. It's disrespectful, and it's, you know, yeah, sure, we have our disagreements. We do not see eye to eye. There's a reason we're not together. It's pretty fucking obvious. But the kids don't need to know about those reasons. The kids don't need to know if you're frustrated with the other person. You know? Say he forgot, or he missed a child support payment, or he missed something. He missed an appointment. He missed anything. Or the other way, she missed a payment or she missed an appointment. The kids don't need to know that. So when it comes to, you know, anything like that, I just say, no. I'm not going to talk shit about her because I don't, first of all, I just don't believe in it. I just don't believe it's helpful. I don't believe it's instructive. But also, it's just like, you know, that's the mother of my child. And at the end of the day, there's a certain level of respect that you got to have because, you know what? Like it or hate it, that's going to be their mom forever. When your child gets married, you know, when they go off to school, if they go off to school, when they go to their first job, whatever, that's going to be the same mom. You're still going to be their dad. That stuff will not change. And if your kids know that you guys were always cool, at least you didn't run each other down, at the very least, then your kids are going to be a lot happier. They're going to be a lot healthier. Because they're going to see you guys and they're going to be like, you know what? Sometimes things don't work out. But at least they loved us. You know, at least they were respectful enough to not make our lives harder as children. Because children, they do not deserve your burdens. Children are not a place, and I think this is one of the biggest issues in the world. This is one of the biggest issues, period, about why there's so many emotionally stunted children these days. And, you know, I could be in that category too. I think it's a lot of parents, and they'll take out their frustrations, they'll take out their traumas on their children. They'll vent to their children, right? Divorcees. You know, they vent all the shit to their children, and it's stuff that your children don't need. They don't understand. So why bother? Don't do it. So, you know, it's just, and that, you know, you know, there's another story I kind of want to tell about on those lines that I was thinking about earlier today. Because I was thinking, I had a long drive from Calgary, so I was just thinking to myself, um, about how things are and how things are going, and I just, you know, I was talking about, I was thinking about the story I was going to tell today about that. Hold on, I need some water. Just drink your tears. I'm not crying, I promise. Well, maybe I'm tearing up a little bit. Maybe it's just some of the stuff hits close to home, and I think it's important to be. I think it's important to be authentic. I do, but whatever. Call me a pussy in the comments. That's fine. I don't care. But like I was saying, um, I was just gonna end that by saying, to that person, if you are listening, you probably aren't, but if you are, um, life goes on, and you got the start of a beautiful family, and you have a big, beautiful family that's already behind you, like, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. But, anyways, I digress. The other story that I wanted to get into, which is related, but it was just something that I wanted to talk about, that how, because it's something that I've been noticing a lot lately in myself, and it kind of goes back to that whole thing I was talking to you about. you know I used to believe that people couldn't change. I used to believe you were kind of just, you were dealt a series of hands, and you were dealt circumstances, and that's kind of just what you had to play with, and you kind of just went on from there. But the truth is people can change. And I just want to talk about this because I think it's important to talk about your flaws. And I think it's important that people know, because it goes back to my whole authenticity thing. You know, I don't, I don't ever want to, I mean, obviously I don't because I'm a dipshit, but I don't ever want to come across as a perfect human being. I don't ever want to come across as, the pinnacle. I want to, I want to, I want to tell people about my story more. I want to tell people about how I'm not just who I am because I am who I am. I have a series of events and hard lessons learned, and some easy lessons, but a lot of hard ones along the way. And for me, one of the hardest lessons you know, I ever learned was when I self-sabotage myself, and I think about my personal growth as a human. You know, I just think back to, I had a relationship for a long time with, this isn't the last relationship. It's a relationship. It's quite old. It's from, 10 years ago, we'll say. I think it was like from when I think I was like probably 22 to 26 maybe. I don't know, yeah, it was about a 4-year relationship, but um, you know, I look back and I think about some of the things I did, some of the things I said, and I just think about, like, you it was one of those things after that relationship ended, looking back on it, I it was one of the first breakups that I took super hard. And again, it's not as complex as my last one because there's no children involved. Because children are a whole another variable, whole nother complexity, that are changes the game significantly. We'll put it that way. But it was this was the first breakup where I, at the end of it, I had to look at myself. I had to be introspective. And when I looked at myself, the unfortunate reality was I didn't like myself. I realized that I was a dickhead at the time. I was a loser. That's what I was. I was a loser. And you know, it was it was one of those things where I was like emotionally abusive to her. I was not now I want to make it very clear I was never physically abusive. We'd play fight and all that stuff, but every couple does that. But, I was I was an emotional abuser. The thing was I didn't really know what I was doing until after it was too late. So I had to look back at myself and I realized that, you know, I was I was like, I was a dick to this person. I was a total dick, and at the end I was, you're you never think you're the abuser. You never think you are, cuz everybody's got their own self-interest and self, Everybody's got their own self-preservation at hand, and they want it all to work out for them in the end. So you're on your own team all the time, but especially when you're young and you're stupid. But when I looked introspectively after it ended, because I was very upset. I realized that, you know, I dug my own grave. I was a stupid idiot, and I was also maturing as a male, and being a guy that wasn't very popular in high school with the ladies, with general public, I was a fucking rock star. Let's be honest. No, no, I wasn't. I was kind of I was weird. I was like the guy that like everybody knew but didn't give a shit about. It's kind of a weird place to be in. But as far as girls go, I didn't get any attention for girls. I was very much uh I called myself like a hopeless romantic. That's really what I was. I was always trying to like shoot my shot, but got shot down. But which I'm not the first. I won't be the last. There's lots of guys like that in high school. Happens for sure. And I always thought, it, it. Unfortunately, that's the hand I've been dealt, right? I'm like, I was kind of an ugly kid, not gonna lie. And again, this sounds all mean, right? It sounds mean, but it's just like this is just me being honest with myself about why. I wasn't the fucking chisel jaw football guy. I was the guy playing World of Warcraft till 6 in the morning, and then going to school, and then drinking a fucking Monster Energy drink, and you know go and play Splinter Cell. I wasn't I wasn't the guy that got the girl in the movies. You know what I mean? So, again, it's just being self aware. So, at the time I wasn't self aware, but now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I didn't get girls. But it's but anyways, I was like the basement dweller, fucking. Only it's weird because my room was in an attic, so I was like an attic dweller, kind of the opposite actually. But I digress. But yeah, so I was used to that, right? I didn't get any attention from girls, and then I got this, I had this one girlfriend for a little while after high school, and blah 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 blah. We broke up, and then I had this next girlfriend, and you know this is the one I'm talking about. Was the one after that where I, this is the one where I screwed up, and I was just an idiot. But the reason I was talking about high school and all that is because part of the problem of being a guy that doesn't get attention from girls or anything like that. When I got older, I'm still no fucking Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Gosling. Let's be honest here, guys. We got to stay in our lane a little bit, but I start to mature a little bit, so I looked better. We'll say I looked better. I turned that 2 into like a 6 or a 7 maybe. I mean, today I'm a 10, but you know, it's just the way it goes. But my point is, I matured a lot, physically and stuff. So I looked better, we'll say. So, anyways, I was in this relationship for quite a while, and I started to get attention from other girls. So, what does a guy do when he's never gotten any attention from girls, and then all of a sudden he's getting some attention from girls? He wants to flirt with said girls, but then obviously you shouldn't do that when you have a girlfriend, and so that I got called out for that. It's like, I found these under your phone, and of course you get mad. You're like, why are you looking through my phone? But then it's like, the real question I should have been asking myself at that time is, why are you wasting your time on that phone, you know chatting with these other girls when you have a girlfriend? But and I'm not again, I'm not making up excuses for myself, but I think that was my mindset at the time, was that I was used to having zero attention from girls. So, you know, when you're a fucking, you know, basement dwelling nerd that doesn't get attention from girls, and then suddenly like you're getting attention from all these other girls, you know, you kind of gravitate towards it. Again, not an excuse, not an excuse at all, but I'm just explaining I think that's what got me. I think it was just I just became I craved the attention, and you know, and that definitely led to the more of the collapse of that relationship. And I think about the person I was back then and how I treated that person compared to like who I am now. And I remember it was a couple years after I was being introspective, and you know, like she had moved on with another guy and stuff, and then but I just remember it had been a couple years, but this is just who I am. I just I don't know what it is. It's something in my programming, but I can't leave anything well enough alone knowing that I fucked something up. So I it was a couple years ago, and I was single, and this was not a shot at her because I knew she had a new guy. I think she's still with this guy to this day if I recall, but I this wasn't me shooting a shot or anything like that. This was just me because I had been so introspective and I had learned so much that I figured I had to set the record straight because I did some horrible shit. I did some horrible shit. And that's the thing that guys don't realize sometimes, that you could do some fucking horrible shit to girls and it'll fuck them up for life. There's a chance I might have fucked her up for life. You know? Trust issues for life. Why? Because one guy's fucking asshole. That's all it takes, man. That's all it takes, guys. You listening? I'm telling you, like, it's like the butterfly effect. Like, you don't understand your actions can have massive impacts on people. So, anyways, I said I gotta set the record straight here because I was exercising regularly. I was trying to eat healthier. My mind was clear and my body was in one of the best shapes that it had ever been in at the time. And I was just like, I was feeling better about myself. And I could think clearly, and I'd been introspective long enough that I realized that I was a shitty fucking person. I was a shitty boyfriend to this person. And I might have fucked them up for life because I was just a fucking abusive asshole. Again, not physically abusive, emotional, which is not better, but it's it's not better, but it's, you know, obviously being a woman beater is not good. We'll put it that way. You know, there's a much it's much easier to apologize for, you know, I'm trying to think of a proper analogy, but it'd be like much easier to apologize for, you know, like I said this girl was hot to your face, uh, as opposed to, you know, oh, I beat the shit out of you. You know, it's a lot easier to come back from the first one. But no, and again, call me old school, but I don't think there's any situation in which a man should put his hands on a woman. Again, there's those very slim ones, like you see those police videos of girls going crazy and they're punching the fuck out of cops and stuff, and then they get like backhanded. Okay, okay, maybe that's okay because obviously it's life or death, and she's not stopping, and they give multiple warnings, so you got to do something. But as far as relationship, domestic abuse, shit like that, no, you don't. And I'm gonna teach my son this. Fucking as soon as he starts dating, I say if I ever hear a fucking whisper that you put your hands on a woman, oh, we're gonna go have a talk, and it's not gonna be a nice talk. Because that's one thing my dad taught me when I was young. Everybody, long, long line of men, and they always told me, you never hit a woman, never. You can get angry. You think you're gonna do something crazy, you get the fuck out of the room. Luckily for me, I'm not really that kind of an angry person, but especially not anymore. Usually, if I get really mad, I just yell. But either way, so yeah, to finish up my story here, which I'm looping around to 100 times, I I just I felt like I had to set the record straight there, and yeah, I sent a text to her. Well, I think it was a Facebook message anyway, because her phone number had changed, I'm sure. But I just sent a Facebook message and said, "Hey, um, it's." I said, like, it's been a long time. Um, I said I wouldn't I wouldn't fault you for not responding to this, and I don't expect you to respond to this, but I just want to apologize for being such a bag of shit to you. I was an immature, soft little man that didn't know any better. And I've grown a lot since then, and I've made changes in my life, and I'm feeling much better. But I feel very guilty for the way I treated you, and I just wanted to apologize. I want to say I'm sorry, and I've worked on myself. I've gotten better, and I hope your life is going good. I hope you're doing good. And that was that. I didn't want a message back. I didn't expect anything back, and I didn't expect a thing, because that was just me clearing my own conscience, because I was feeling guilty. And the it was like the next day or whatever, and I got this message back, and she said to be honest, I'm glad to see that you're doing better. I'm glad to see that you've grown, and my life is great now. I'm in a happy relationship, and I moved to a different city and all this stuff. I'm doing way better now, and I I accept your apology, and I just wanted you to know that, like, people are growing all the time. And she basically explained to me how she didn't like herself back then either. She's changed a lot too, and how it's she appreciates the apology, and she accepts it, but she's also understood that she's growing as well. And she said that she doesn't think that she was the best person she could have been either. And, that's it. We left it, we had a little conversation after that. I can't remember, but we basically left it at that, and that's me being at peace. Because me, it's different with the internet because it's all a bunch of random people and people are commenting left and right, and you don't really know who's who. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships and people that I know in real life, it bugs me. It's just who I am. It bugs me. If I know that I did somebody wrong, it's like if I know I owe somebody money. It just drives me nuts. I'm like, I have to pay you back. I have to pay you back. What do I do? 25? Here, take it. It drives me fucking nuts. But when you know you've hurt somebody, it's just part of my character. I have to set the record straight. I have to set things right. And in this case, it was the best case scenario, We both kind of agreed that we were different people and we've grown and we've moved on, and that's good. Sometimes you don't get the chance to apologize, Or sometimes you do something even stupider. So, in the world of stupid things, this was okay. This turned out okay. So, again, I apologize for the more kind of this episode got a little sappy. That tends to happen when I'm alone, though. That's why I need a co-host. Keep me level-headed, but drinking water again. But I think some people that well, at least I hope some people out there appreciate this, and I hope you guys appreciate the realness of of these talks, of these. I feel like the way I had a heart to heart at the wedding dance, I feel like right now I'm having almost a heart to heart with you guys that are listening. It's just that's how I feel, and God damn it, I'm gonna put it out there in the world, see what happens. But it's just like, yeah. So the moral of the story for today is, if any of you guys are worried about, breakups or divorces or anything like that, especially if you're young, just work on yourself. And, it's almost like a cliche at this point. People be like, oh, even to me, they've said, oh, are you going on dates? Are you going to have a date soon? And, I say, well, actually, I'm working on myself. And, some people say, that's such a cliche, right? Well, I'm just going to work on myself. I need to work on myself, right? It's cliche. But for those of you that are going through this right now, you go through a tough breakup, go through a divorce, anything like that, work on yourself. But don't just say you're going to work on yourself. Oh, I need time to work on myself. No, do it. Put in the work. Put in the hours. I'm telling you, it helps. It helped me back in whatever, when I was, 26 and realized I was a fucking monster, just a dickhead. It helped me back then to work on myself and be introspective, and it's helping me work things out now. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't talk it, walk it. If you really believe that you need to work on yourself, then you better do it. Because otherwise, you're just going to get in another relationship and you're going to do the same shit. You're going to fall for the same pitfalls. You're going to fall for the same traps. And you're just going to break somebody else's heart. So just Be the best version of yourself every day. Every day. And if you got to work on yourself for a year, take a year. If it only takes you a week, all right. Takes you a month, that's fine too. Fuck, some people it takes them 10 years. 10 years and they're working on themselves. You know, I hope to God didn't take it that long, but, you know, take that time. Work on yourself. And I find these things happen by fate. That's how I find. I find, again, it's another cliche, but I find you will find that person when you stop looking for them. They'll just almost fall to your lap. It's a weird thing, but it's happened. You know, it's definitely happened to people I know. You know, they've gotten, you know, tired and nihilistic, and oh, I don't want to date anymore. It's stupid. You know, dating is, you know, I'll never get a girlfriend. I don't like any. Nobody likes me. And then they stop looking, and then, you know, that year all of a sudden they find somebody that they're gonna get married to. You know, so it's yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just rambling on at this point, and you know, and then sometimes like I was saying earlier, sometimes it doesn't work out the second time, you know, and it's, you know, sometimes you think you have perfect, or you think, you know, you think you've made it, you think you found the person you're gonna marry, person you want to spend your life with, and it doesn't work out, and you know, it's kind of a deep cut in a way, and the wound is still freshish, but that's what happened to me. You know, I said it before. I'll say it again. I honestly, in all seriousness, I'm just being honest. Probably nobody's heard this from me besides people who have listened to this, but you know, I literally thought that was the person I was going to marry. I thought so. I was committed to that point, you know, and then, you know, things didn't work out, and but you know what? I'm happy with things right now. You know, I got a beautiful daughter out of it. I got a beautiful stepson, and I'm currently working on my own shit. I'm working on getting in shape. I'm, you know, I'm taking my vitamins. I'm drinking my water. You know, as bad as things seem like on an emotional level, sometimes you'll you'll find a way to push through. And I can think about all the positive shit in my life. I have great family. I have great friends. I'm working on myself. I feel great right now. I haven't felt this good in a long time. And I have great children. And that's, you know, that's what more can a guy ask for at that point, you know? So I'm sorry for kind of being rambly and a little bit emotional in this episode. It just like, I, again, I can't really stress it enough. It's like I when I had that, you know, when I had that heart to heart with, again, I'm not mentioning names because I don't want to dox people on here in case people are watching that know the person, and you know, I, I you know, I don't want to, you know, I don't want people to know, you know what I mean, know who I'm talking about and stuff. So I'm not gonna mention names, but like, you know, I feel like I had a heart to heart with the, you know, the bride's sister, and I feel like we had like a moment. I mean, again, when I'm drunk, I tend to have these heart to hearts. It does happen a lot, but I feel like I don't know. It's strange. I feel like we did have a moment there, and we connected on an emotional level because, I mean, I wasn't married. Again, I think she was, but uh, it's almost like the same situation, We're both going through a rough, breakup, separation, whatever you want to call it. Uh, and, we both have young babies. I have a young girl. She has a young boy. And then I have a stepson that's 4. And then she has a stepdaughter that's 4. It's kind of like, it's literally like the same thing, only opposite genders of the kids. But it's just like, I feel like, yeah, like I said, I feel like it was a emotional connection because it's when somebody's going through the same shit as you can relate. You can relate, and you can, for for the most part, you can imagine what they're going through and what they're feeling, and it's just it sucks. It sucks because I know how hard it is. So, but it's also a blessing because I know that she's a strong person, just like me, and strong people get through shit. And that's what I'm gonna do. That's what she's gonna do. And you know, we're gonna have we're gonna move on and your life will be great. So thank you guys so much for watching today. Sorry for getting a little bit emotional and stuff. It's just these things happen. It is what it is, and I fucking hate saying this because I feel like I say it all the time now, but I want to be authentic. I'm not a liar anymore. You know, that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is just to tell the truth and be honest. It's just like if you have emotional thoughts and you convey them, you're gonna get emotional, but at least you're being authentic. You're being real. Too many guys are afraid to, too many guys are afraid to cry. They're afraid to open up. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to open up. And I realize as a guy that I am I don't know. I'm way more emotional. Again, guys, they put up a front in public, right? They do. But I've always been more of an emotional guy. Again, I still do the manly shit. I still do the, you know, lifting heavy shit and all the stuff that comes with being a guy, but I am not afraid to cry. I'm not afraid to get in touch with that side because I think it's important. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's just who I am. And I'm just being authentically me. And if you don't like it, nobody has to listen. You know? You want some go watch some fake ass Andrew Tate shit or something. You know? I don't know. Anyways, before I start rambling here more, I'm gonna let you guys go. So thank you guys so much for watching episode 40. Can't believe we made it this far, and that's out of control. And once again, congratulations to the beautiful bride and groom, Matt and Natasha. Thank you for inviting me to your wedding. It was beautiful, and yeah, you guys look so beautiful. It was awesome, and thank you everybody else for listening. Remember to subscribe on YouTube and all the socials. They are in the description below. And I'll see you guys next week for number 41. Bye for now.